of religious science since the age of 12. He's been both a participant and an advisor in the CSL teen program for over 13 years. He has been speaking about and teaching this philosophy to teens and also adults of all ages for the past 5 years, and he was just recently licensed as a minister of religious science with the Centers for Spiritual Living. And with a love of metaphor and a passion for inspiring others, this amazing young minister, Reverend Brian, he uses a genuine and practical approach to remind us that this faith is something we are, not just something we endeavor to understand. Please give a big round of applause for Reverend Brian Akers.
Good morning. As Reverend Sandy would say, good morning and? Oh, I like that. So, today, careful if you hear a gasp from the teens over there, they don't see me without my hat on often, so. So, today I was asked to speak to you about this concept, embodying life. And I really, as a minister, I've come to really enjoy when I'm given a topic, when someone says, hey, this is something we'd like to have you speak about, because it really gives me that opportunity to take it and turn it upside down and put it on its head and spin it around and look at it in a whole new, different kind of way. And so today we're talking about embodying life. Embodying life. And so the first thing we have to really ask ourselves is, what is this thing that we're calling life? If we're going to embody something, and if we're going to give that something a name, and that name is going to be life, we have to know what life is, right? Right? Now, I'm sure there's not anybody like John was talking about that Catherine wrote for us this morning. It was so beautiful, about the people who see life in a lot of different ways as what life is. It's something that we're enduring, or it's something that we're experiencing and growing into, and there's all kinds of great ways to describe it. But our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, had something to say about what life is, and it's a concept that is central to our entire philosophy, the way that we live, the way that we breathe, the way that we feel things work in the world. You know, religion is something that humanity created to understand the world around them, right? To understand why the sun went up and down, and why, you know, the winter came and the fall came, and all of these different kinds of things. And so as it's progressed and it evolved into many different ideas, religions, philosophies, approaches. But our philosophy, what we have adopted is this idea that everything is one thing. All of it's just one thing. And so, raise your hand if you're a fan of the law of attraction. Awesome. Okay. I'm not. And it's not because I don't believe in it, but it's because I want to see it in a way that calls me to action. And so I'm going to invite you guys to kind of think about it in a new way. So as opposed to this idea that I'm a magnet and I'm attracting things to me, I'd like to invite you to see the world, to have a world view that tells you that everything that happens in the universe is a system of cause and effect. How do you like that? Right? Because just like the law of attraction, doing something will bring something, right? Cause and effect, being something will cause that something to ripple and to occur around us, right? Here on page 35, so very early on in the textbook, Dr. Holmes begins to, and he actually has already addressed it a little bit before this, but the central concept of our philosophy is that there is only one thing, and that one thing is God. Okay? So we don't believe in the idea in this philosophy that God is a person or a personality. We believe that God is the very essence of all that there is. And so this is what Dr. Holmes has to say about life. There is a universal mind, spirit, and intelligence that is the origin of everything. Pretty unequivocal, right? There is this spiritual presence, this spiritual intelligence, this divine essence, that is the origin, the beginning place of all things. Non-ambiguous. We're not airy-fairy here. We're very clear about what we're saying, right? And he follows that up by calling it, it is the first cause. So when we look at life as this cause and effect system that's happening, what we understand is that this universal divine presence is the very first original cause of all that there is. Right? And so when we identify that, we look around us and we see that that means that that first cause within itself has known and evolved and created everything that we are and everything around us, right? If we found the world as a system of cause and effect, the very first cause was, and then there was, life. Okay? And so what he goes on to say, and very clearly, the shortest sentence probably in this whole book, I don't know who of you guys have read it, but this is probably the shortest sentence in this whole book. It says, it is God. Done. Okay? It says, this universal life and energy finds an outlet in and through all that is energized. He says, and I really love this part, there is one life back of everything, so behind everything there's one life that is living, or that lives. One life. It says there is one energy back of all things that is energized. This energy is in everything. There is one spirit back of all expression. That is the meaning of that mystical saying, and here he goes on to quote the Bible. When it says in Acts 17:28, in him we live and move and have our being. I saw some of you reading that quote in your mind as I said it. And so even the great teacher Jesus and the great senders of the seekers of thousands of years ago understood that there is no life outside of God. Can we all make that agreement today? That we agree to understand. There is no life outside of God. So what I was asked to come here and to explain is that you need to embody this thing of which you are already an embodiment of. All right, have a great week. So, I'm not here to convince you that you are the embodiment of something that you are not. You are the very embodiment of the original cause of life. That cause is a cause that has brought about everything that you have ever experienced or learned about or heard about, and everything you've ever imagined in your own mind. Is the livingness of that original first cause moving through in as is so important for us to remind ourselves, for you. And so we arrive at this place where we're trying to figure out, okay, well, life is all that there is, right? So how do I embody life? And Dr. Hunt goes on to say, the life which we live is the universal life expressing through us. Else, how could we live? For those of you who aren't familiar with Dr. Holmes, it's important not just to read the text, but to seek out something where you can hear him talk, because he was a really funny guy. He had the driest sense of humor ever, but he was really sarcastic. So it's like, okay, so if we believe that God is all there is, and that we believe that God is life, then obviously that life is moving through us and as us. Otherwise, how would we be living? Any answer to that question? You can't presume that all things are one thing and then immediately separate yourself as being the thing that's out on the island. Man cannot be an island unto himself. You can't suddenly separate yourself from the grandeur of all that is. If you're going to be willing to accept that there is a livingness, a life, a grandeur, a beauty, a magnificence, a joy that has created something as breathtaking as the sunset over the Alps. That came from somewhere. Right? The first glimpse that you ever had, regardless of what your age was when you saw it, of a moving image of the planet Earth from outer space. If that doesn't boggle your mind, you're not paying attention. So, we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing with this life that we're given? What part of this life is for us to expand upon, to move upon? In fact, a lot of people have this worldview where if they see someone out there who's rich, they say, oh, this rich guy is X, Y, and Z. So that means I need to embody X, Y, and Z, and then I can be rich too. And so what they're doing is saying, that thing that's way over there that I do not have is something that I need to embody. Or the people who find themselves needing a healing, and they say, well, that person had a healing, and they did A, B, and C. So I need to do A, B, and C. But A, B, and C is a thing that exists out there somewhere that's not anywhere within your grasp or your reach, and you're trying to embody something that is not with you. And to you, I say, it's okay. We all do that. We all do that. I do that. But we have to invite ourselves to remember that it's a real thing. That we're not dealing with, trying to saddle a unicorn here. That's not what we're doing. We're dealing with something as simple as waking up in the morning, as taking our next breath, as embodying a presence which already exists within us to such a degree that it is the original idea that made us happen. How powerful a thought is it to know that the very essence that has created the magnificence of the entire ecosystem of this giant planet created you too? And so we have to know that if we look at what nature does without us fumbling around with it, and see how it does things, isn't it funny that whenever something's being done right, what's the immediate analogy that we relate it to? It's natural. Oh yeah, naturally. Because what we know is that the nature of things is good. We just do. Because if we took ourselves out of the equation long enough and just watched, we would be able to see things act rightly, regardless of what they are. And so there's this emerging world view that tells us that the earth, it views the planet, and even it views everything about this globe that we're spinning around the sun on as one organism. Right? Because we even look at a human being as a system of organs, but in truth, we really look at each other as one thing. So if our liver is failing, then as a living organism, we're about to fail. Am I right? So when you look at the planet in the same way, and you see that the planet is finding ways to destroy itself, to attack itself, to diminish itself, to alleviate itself from goodness, is that an organism that is prepared to thrive or to survive? See, there's a difference in the type of change that we have the ability to enact, that thought has the ability to enact. And one of them is evolution, and the other is implosion. Those are the two directions we get to go. We've got evolution and we've got implosion. And when you look at the system of cells in your body, right, each one of those little cells is its own individual organism. Right? So within you, each individual cell has its individuality, but what is it? It is of you. Right? So, if a cell suddenly decides that, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm going to try and do something else. I woke up this morning as a liver cell, and I know what it means to be a liver cell, and I do the job of being a liver cell really good. But you know what? I don't want to be a liver cell anymore. I'm going to try and do something else. Do you know what they call that cell? Cancer. But then you have cells like the appendix who have slowly acknowledged that it's no longer quasi-necessary, and they're slowly starting to add, okay, all right, we don't need to be here anymore, and making its way out. Right? And it's accepting that fact, like, oh, we're getting smaller here. You're not going to need any more of that? Okay, all right. It's like that waiter that comes by your table a little too often, and then realizes it, like, oh, you guys you got your water's good. I'll be back. I'll come back. So it's a natural process of understanding the will and expanding it and evolving that. That's how humanity came to be. We began to, we have these hands with these opposable thumbs that have offered us so much opportunity and afforded us so much opportunity in this world. But, that's something that came to be. Because it evolved there because it added goodness to our experience of life to have thumbs. Just ask my dog. So that's evolution. But if we decide to kick and scream and try to not do what it is that we are inherently here to do, then we become cancerous. Not only to ourselves, but to the whole organism. We believe that warring with other places is the way to get stuff done, right? And I'm sorry, but we have a culture that has not been out of war in a very, very long time. And so when we have that feeling, that idea about that war is the way to get things done, then we reap what we sow, right? So the original cause was to come here and to create, and that which has been created has become obsessed with destroying. A little bit out of balance, right? So how do we get back into balance? How do we find our way back into that place where we know what we're doing? Now, I mentioned this in the first service, and so I have a feeling that the more people that are in the crowd, the more people I can offend, so that will make this more fun. That'll make it more fun. Because if you're seeking to be offended, you will be. In this world, if you want to be offended, you're going to find a way to be offended. But here's what I found out about the culture of what we believe in the way that we work. A lot of us, and if you're brave, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, have come from a more traditional faith. Yes? From like Catholicism or Mormon, any other faiths, Muslim or Christian, or whatever the case may be. And so we come here, and then we get our maybe that we have figured it out and become judgmental about how behind the times and ridiculous those people are. No, Bobby. Why would we, if we're trying to embody the original cause of goodness that led us to be here today, judge those who believe that we should take out huge chunks of our day to stop everything and give thanks for our very presence here and for everything that we have in our life? Like a Muslim would. Now, you can't be Jesus. But what Jesus did was Jesus woke up every day and said, okay, the world's going to get some Jesus today. Well, I think about the times that he was living in. He was living in a time where it was unpopular to believe in what he believed in. But what was important to him was that he wasn't there to tell others that they had to do a certain thing. What he did was he lived it. He knew he was the gift of love, the Son of God, the one that was here to tell everybody, hey, we love you, don't worry about it, you are in God's hands, you are a child of God, let's love each other, love each other, love each other. So why then would we treat someone of a faith that would idealize being Christ-like as if they had missed the mark? Oh, no, people. Now, in our faith, we don't have the luxury of being incongruent. Right? Because what we're seeking to do is to embody a goodness that we wish to receive from the world. We have to be the kind of person that the world would want to love that way. Okay, this one's fun. How many of you guys here feel like that the youth of our country has kind of got this crazy, like, entitlement issue? It's okay, be all the times. Can you tell I've been working with these guys? Okay. So, there's this idea that people should love us because we're awesome. Go ahead. Yeah, okay. So, if you're being awesome, if you are being someone who is a lover, who is a creator of life, who is a creator of joy, who is a bringer of peace, who is a guardian of that which nurtures its fellow humanity into a greater expression of itself, then yeah, people should love the crap out of you. And that's why people love Jesus. That's why people love Jesus. Okay? That's why people love every one of these people that are on this line over here. Contemporaries of their time who are people who said, this is who I am, and you can either get on the bus or get off the bus, but it's not going to change the destination that we're headed to, and that destination is a greater version of ourselves than we even thought we could be when we got here. But we can't do that by trying to seek to be something that is outside of ourselves. This isn't a destination we're trying to get to. Right? I'm a good God, but I've already had the rug pulled out from under me enough times to know that there's no end to the path. Right? Yeah, I'm like, oh, I got my practitioner's license. Right? And then so it's like, man, so you're going to start the ministry. So that was like, what else do it? Bow down, hunker in to my ministry. And then I went, and I tried my minister, and the first time they were like, yeah, you're not ready. So, thank goodness, because they were right. So when I went back the second time, they said, okay, I think we're done. I was like, it's not the wrong. It's like the wrong skills in the ministry right now. But what we arrived at is this idea that if we just are trying to get to a place, then the place that we are right now isn't the good place to be, is it? If we're going to be an environment of someone who lives in a place that is always good, we have to get rid of the destination and begin to realize that where we are right now is where the party's going to be. The party's going to happen today. The party's going to happen now. We need to celebrate our individuality in this moment. Because if it's constantly a place that we're trying to get to, we're going to get there, and the promised land, once you reach the promised land, all you can think about is like, I mean, yeah, I guess so, but not as many palm trees as I was expecting, I'm just saying. So, what do we do? We're going to embody life. We already are the embodiment of that thing. We already are. You are the embodiment of life. And here's what Dr. Holmes has to say. I love this quote. I love this quote. Since we're dealing with an infinite power, right? It's the first cause of all that there is. So, is there anybody else that thinks that if they had to start from scratch, they could make this universe that we have here? Okay, good. Just making sure we're on the same page. Since we're dealing with an infinite power, which knows only its own ability to do, and since it can objectify any idea impressed upon it, so that means since we know there's this original cause that can do anything, and since we know that anything it puts its mind to, it can do, because that is its nature, there can be no limit to what it can or would do for us, other than the limit of our inward embodiment of it. The only thing that can keep us from having our party is our willingness to be available and to know that it's time to celebrate. And there's a lot of different ways to party. But this is a big old planet, let alone a ginormous universe. There's plenty of room for everybody to have the party they want. But nobody's going to come to your party if you're not in party mode. Have you ever woken up on a Saturday and just hung out on your phone, roll around, read the paper, watch some news, do whatever, and then come 6 or 7 o'clock, people just started showing up to party? No, you have to create the invitation. You have to create the space. You have to be the host of that which you wish to experience. But I don't think I'm a minister. It doesn't have much to do with me wanting to change your people. It has to do with me wanting to be changed to such a degree that I attract a bunch of other power people that are willing to get down right now. So I'm not going to kick you in the pants, really. I'm just making sure that I'm doing my work. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody like the first service about this. Earlier, in our philosophy, we have this weird secret culture. Hey, we're changing the world. Don't tell anybody. They think we're weirdos. They think we're a cult. Don't tell them, because they'll look at us weird. But we're going to do it. So we have to come into our own. And that same judgment that we pass upon the way that others choose to try and discover a way to define the world around them and pour from that world around them something that is good and that gives them greatness is shame on us to do that. Shame on us. Shame on us to say that those who still believe in certain traditional faiths are less than we are. Less than informed, less than capable, less than ready to partay. Because what I know is that I don't want my faith to be something that is resisting the ideas that already exist in the world that have banded humanity together for good causes. I hate to say it, but if you take the whole human experience and you look at the places where some of the greatest acts of peace and kindness and joy and love on this planet have ever one of these things as if it is the right thing, abandoning this idea that it doesn't matter what your thing is, what matters is that you are doing good because it informs you that goodness is the path. That's what religion is. That's what spirituality is. It's a reminder that your goodness is the road that you need to be walking if this world is going to be one that is going to be an eternal paradise in which we all get to live and share and thrive. The question is, are we going to drop our own barrels to get there? Oh, she's serious. Yeah. Can you get out of your own way? To not have to worry about being the embodiment of something outside of yourself, but to just give way to the possibility that within you already exists that presence of original cause that is so loving and so divine and so beautiful and so caring that if you just get the heck out of the way, it will remind you how to be that and how to live that for the people around you. We've been criticized in this philosophy for many years about being super selfish. It's all about us. It's about me. You know, you watch The Secret, and it's about me thinking that I'm going to get the necklace and this thing. But really, those who understand this philosophy know that we are, as Mother Teresa said, a Catholic, we belong to each other. If I'm not here to nurture and support you, there is no way I can expect the world to reflect that it's prepared to nurture and support me in my own growth. But that sense of entitlement. The sense of entitlement comes from a deep knowing that you deserve the best. And that's the truth. But the problem with the sense of entitlement is that we level it upon others without any sense of personal responsibility. That's what makes it painful. So let's be entitled. Let's be entitled to know that we deserve to be loved every single day. And let's be entitled in that way to such a degree that we entitle everyone around us to get our love out of us. We're not one of those who withhold love until you earn it. We're one of those people who say, no, you're entitled to be loved, and I love you. Who's prepared to step out into the world and to do that for those who are creating havoc in the world? Who's prepared to step up and do that for the people who need it most, the ones who think that the gun is the answer? Who's prepared to love them? Get in here. Who's prepared to love those who have decided that money is the almighty power on the planet? We have to be those people if that's the world we want to live in. We can't think that the world is going to make itself in our image. We have to know that the cause that is within us affects the cause of every word we speak, every feeling we have, every thought that we think, so that it does, in fact, impress upon this universal consciousness that what we have decided to do is to love, because when we align ourselves with that truth of creativity, the entire universe conspires for our success. And not in the way that we see it in our mind, but in a way that's even greater than that. The world that you imagine that we could be living in pales in comparison to the one that the universe is prepared to create for us and with us. All we have to do is wake up today, now, together, as a community, with and for one another, to be the kind of person that would live in that world every day. And once we choose to be that person, what we're awakened to every day is the goodness welling up within us that has always existed, that is the embodiment of life itself expressing as us right now. And when we do that, those around us will be desperate to love us back. So be a lover. Thank you. Let us pray. Let us know together that the accumulated momentum of this moment infuses us, inspires us, moves us to be movers. But that feeling that we're having right now that has changed since when we walked into this room, that new feeling that we've created by opening our minds and our hearts to the idea that there is a grandeur within us that is seeking to express. We're bursting those doors open now, and we are letting ourselves make sure that every thought we have is in alignment with that truth. That as we say yes to love and as we say yes to life, that it's not an idea that we're saying yes to, it is a decision that we are making. And that when we pray, all we're really doing is reminding ourselves of this truth so that we stay on track. So that we continue to walk the path that we know is the path we desire. And if we wonder and if we stray, we strike those actions down immediately and forgive them with grace, knowing that they don't serve us anymore. And embrace the idea that at any given moment we can stop and acknowledge this truth, and the fullness of it is within us and with us as we take our next step and our next step and our next step. And so for that, we're grateful. For each other, we're grateful. So we release this word knowing that as we've made this conscious choice, that it has been impressed upon a universal cause that then takes it and creates an effect that reflects its truth. A world in which love thrives, a world in which peace is spreading, and a world in which power is defined by the ability to be kind and to care for one another more fully. And so it is.